When you ask someone what their favorite book series is, you expect the usual answers like Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, The Hunger Games. But sometimes you want to get a little more specific and say, hey, what's your favorite vampire book series? Obviously, Twilight. The really queer kids say Interview with the Vampire. But if you were to ask me, hey, what's your favorite vampire book series? I would say it's Cirque the Freak. And then you would probably say,
what the heck even is that?
To which I would say, let me tell you about it. So let this video be me trying to convince you to read Cirque the Freak because, oh my gosh, I need more people in the fandom, okay? Yes, I may be in cosplay of one of the characters, and yes, I'm recording this in my kitchen, but God forbid, I am going to make you read Cirque the Freak by the end of this video. I'm gonna go through some talking points about why you really should get into this book series, and I hope I can convince you by the end of this. Let me not scare you off. Let me start with a bit of an introduction on this book series by reading the Wikipedia article. I don't have my glasses on, so if I squint, that's why. Cirque the Freak, written by Darren Shan, was published in January of 2000, and it revolves around a young boy named Darren Shan. We'll get into that. This book series, I wouldn't say it was like the most popular thing in the world when it first came out, but we'll also get into that. Put a pin in that. But it was popular enough where it got a movie, a film adaptation actually. So Cirque the Freak, A Vampire's Assistant was the movie that came out on October 23rd of 2009. Don't watch the movie. No, it sucks. It is so bad. I'm sorry. I know there's some people in the fandom who like the movie. I don't care. It's awful. I could make a whole video of how much of a disaster the movie is, but nobody cares. So let's get into a little bit of the plot. As I mentioned earlier, this book written by Darren Shan follows a little boy named Darren Shan. For the sake of simplicity, whenever I talk about the author, I'm going to call him by his full name, Darren Shan, and whenever I talk about the character, I'm going to just refer to him as Darren. A quick recap of the first book, kind of. Just so you can get a little idea. Darren likes spiders. Steve is insane, so they go to a freak show, and Darren really likes the spider that this guy's performing with at the freak show, and then he sneaks in and steals it, and then the spider is very deadly, so it bites Steve, and Darren is like, oh no, so let me go back to the guy that I stole the spider from, and maybe he has an antidote. This guy, Larton Crepsley, he's like, hey, that's what you get for stealing my spider, so I'm gonna turn you into a vampire. And Darren's like, okay. And so he gives Steve the antidote, but Steve's jealous because he wanted to be a vampire. And Steve's like, frick you, I'm going to destroy you and kill you. And Darren's like, okay. This book series is insane, okay? Like, the first 3 books, yeah, you're pretty much learning a lot about the vampire lore and all that stuff. In Tunnels of Blood, we're introduced to these things called vampanese. And we're introduced to this absolute insane vampanese named Murloc. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. This book series has some really strange names, you guys. But you need to know basic rundown on the vampanese if you're going to read this book series, because they're definitely not going to become important later. The vampires in this book series don't kill people, they just drink blood. But the vampanese are like, no, we like blood and we kill them too. So vampanese have purple skin, red nails, red hair, and red eyes. And the explanation that the book series gives is the reason they look like that is because they drink and eat, like they drink so much blood and eat so many people that they turn to look like that. I turn to look like that when I eat too many Takis. Like, more important like lore things you'll learn as you go on. The vampires, most of them live in this thing called Vampire Mountain. A very creative name, I know. Something you'll learn throughout this book series, and especially like in Vampire Mountain, because that's when we're introduced to more of the vampire laws and all that stuff, is that these vampires, they don't give up. And it's kind of annoying. Like, what I mean is by they don't give up is that they're very strict in their ways. These vampires kind of have this weird toxic masculinity thing going on. For example, like, if they're growing too old, they would rather like die by like ending it all because they don't want to be like a useless vampire or whatever. And it's just like, what? Like, you could just grow old peacefully, like in a remote little, cabin or something. But no, they're like, oh, I can't bear to be so weak, I need to die. And it's, what? And I'm not gonna lie, there's sometimes when I'm reading this book series that I get kind of annoyed by how like stupid their rules are, that they have to make it so difficult on themselves. In the 5th book, which is my favorite book in the series, by the way, it's so good, but like there's these trials that they have to do. That's a whole nother thing. But then Darren, he gets a trial where he has to deal with fire, and the person training him is like, so by the way, you're not allowed to cut your hair off. Vampires aren't allowed to, shave their hair off if they get this trial. So usually when vampires start the trials, they like shave their hair off like in preparation in case they get this one. But if you get it, you're not allowed to do it. What kind of rule is that? They just made that rule up to make life harder on themselves. The reason they can't shave their heads off is because their hair could catch on fire. So, let's just make it hard for them. Like, it's so stupid. Oh my god. Nothing can be easy for the vampires. Like, there's genuinely multiple times in this book series, there's an easy solution to everything. But the vampires are just like, nah, let's not do that. But that's not a criticism of the book series. I actually really like how the vampires are done in this series. It's really unique. It's more so like, wow, I would hate to meet any of these vampires. Yeah, I hope you get a good idea of this. Now, I want to talk about why I think you should read this book series. So my first point is niche. Now, what does that mean? Recently, I've noticed this obsession with wanting to be niche and unique. So, hey, I have the perfect book series for you. That's why I'm saying, if you're obsessed with being niche, I think you should read this book series because nobody knows about it. Okay. You know what? Forget it. We're not gonna worry about that. One of my second talking points I really want to make is this book series has a manga. And I don't know why you would think this book series would be more popular now that it has a manga. That was made 20 years ago. And I don't know why it's not more popular. The art style is pretty good. I think it still holds up. And I own almost every manga. The only one I'm missing is the 12th one, because it is $100 everywhere. I don't understand why more people don't read this book series. Funny number. Got most of these in middle school. These are 6 years old. I really wish that this series would get an anime, because most animes are based off manga, so it would be really cool if somebody picked this up and made it into an anime. But no, everyone hates me. But more so, what I really want is for Netflix to make Cirque the Freak into a series, a mini series. Please, Some Unfortunate Events is a series adaptation from the books, and it's so amazing. It's so good. I freaking love it. Come on, Netflix, you could do the same with Cirque the Freak. There's so much potential money here. And if you do, cast me as Kurda, because I don't think anyone else can play Kurda emotionally as gooder than me. Right. Whatever. Speaking of Kurda, usually this is aimed at teenage girls specifically, but when teenage girls join a fandom, they have that one character that they obsess over. And when I tell you, this book series has the perfect person for you. Most of the vampires in this book series are very ugly. Specifically, Darren Shan uses a lot of words to make sure these vampires don't sparkle in the light. They're unattractive, okay? They poop, they pee, they fart, they vomit, okay? They spit. All right, they're manly vampires, and that's okay. There's one vampire, and the fans know who I'm talking about. I'm dressed as him right now. Listen, he's thin. He's blonde. He has blue eyes. He's intelligent. Okay, he has this cool, edgy story to him. Every time Kurda's introduced, they make sure that he's thin, blonde, blue-eyed, intelligent, and beautiful. Why did they just make Darren Shan make sure all the other vampires are unattractive and ugly and stupid, and he's the smart, beautiful, intelligent one? He's so freaking cool. I love Kurda. And I need more people to get into this fandom so that they know how good Kurda, how good of a character Kurda is. I could probably make a 1 hour long analysis video talking about Kurda alone. Because, first of all, this book series has so many things you could analyze and talk about. But Kurda as a character is so complex. Even like the author Darren Shan has said this before, that Kurda's a very complex character that he doesn't have many feelings about because he wrote him as such a like weirdly neutral character. I'm surprised more people of the fandom don't love him. I need more Kurda love and appreciation. I would love to talk more about Kurda, but that would get into spoiler territory. But all you need to know is that he's cool, and I need you to read the book series because come the frick on. So I think I've made it very obvious that these vampires aren't like other vampires you've read about. They have a lot of like different things about them that like I've read and consumed a lot of vampire media, and like these are like the most unique vampires and like different ones that I've ever seen. And I'm gonna be honest, reading this book series in middle school really changed how I see vampires. More so like when I started writing my own series, and like when I made the vampire species for my OCs, I like kind of based a lot of the stuff, like, a lot of vampire quirks I based off of Cirque because it did something to me. For example, something that I really love is that the vampires in Cirque don't burn in the sun. Like they'll sunburn, but they won't die immediately. Like in Interview with the Vampire, when they go out in the sun, they start like disintegrating. But the vampires in Cirque they just a little bit of a sunburn. They make a point that if you stay in the sun for too long, you basically start baking. Like this one character, Vancha March, he stands in the sun for so long, he's like red. Vancha March is my second favorite character, by the way. Speaking of Vancha March, you know that thing I was saying about gross vampires in this book series? If you read it, be prepared for that one, because he's a whole nother level. Another thing about these vampires is they don't have fangs, so the way that they transform their vampires is strange, to say the least. They do it by their fingertips, like and then they cut it and then they transfer the blood. So Darren Shan also said that they can do this by like other ways, like their elbows or their toes. Listen, this series, I will say, warning, this series, like at least in the manga, there's so much feet. There's so many feet being drawn because there's a lot of moments in the book series where they're just barefoot, and it disgusts me. I hate feet. Oh yeah, this book series also has like a war by the 7th book. So like from 7 to 12, be ready for a lot of war and dying. A lot of characters die in this book series, guys. I'm just gonna mention that. So if you're like, oh, he's my favorite, don't get attached. Okay, I'm telling you now. There's so many characters that die in this book series. I think the 11th one like manages to have a body count of like 5 major characters that die. Well, more like 3 major characters and 2 other characters, but a lot of characters die. And I kind of love that. I like how this book series gets you attached and then isn't scared to kill those characters off. Not gonna lie, I'm really sad this series doesn't have more of a fandom, because like now every time I cosplay Kurda, like only like the fandom knows. I post it on the Facebook group and everyone's like, oh my god, cool Kurda cosplay, that's so good. I post it on like my socials, my other socials, and everyone's like, oh wow, is that some random blonde person? Like, no. For the sake of simplicity, whenever someone asks me who I'm cosplaying, I have to say, oh, I'm Lestat from Interview with the Vampire, of course. Don't get me wrong, I love Lestat, and I freaking love Interview with the Vampire. #1 fan right here. But I'm not cosplaying Lestat. I would love to cosplay Lestat, but just no. Another reason why I'm making this video is I need more Kurda content, okay? There is barely anything of Kurda. I need more. My Kurda loving heart has been empty for a long time, and only one person has been able to fill it. Me. I want to end this off by saying, please read this book series. It's so good. Okay, you can get it on Amazon. You can read the audiobooks on Audible or whatever. I don't care. Just find some way to consume it, as long as it's not the movie. And if I have fans of the book series that obviously have already read the books and are watching this video because there's no other Cirque the Freak content, don't worry. I will make more. Maybe. We'll see. I was not joking about that 1 hour long Kurda analysis video. I will do it if you guys want. I really want to make a retrospective of this series and talk more about like what actually happens in the books, and maybe like a summary video, go over like my favorite books and stuff. That's about it. I'm absolutely crawling to take this makeup off and this wig off especially. I'm sweating so much. Did this whole video blind. Plot twist, I wear glasses. Okay, that's it. Bye. By the way, I really hope Cirque the Freak gets a manga. No, wait. So, it turns out he's a for them, and he's like, there. But I need to stop moving around so quickly.